hip hinge variations. Zoran's going to demonstrate a series of hip hinge variations. Now, hip hinges we're looking at as a movement dysfunction correction. So we're looking at learning how to move our hips. So Zoran's going to demonstrate the hip hinge. Basically placing the hands in the crease, and let's demonstrate the hip hinge. Zoran, good. Zoran's demonstrating how driving the hips back by using the hands as a proprioceptive feedback, pushing the hips back. He's looking to hinge between the thigh and the upper body as he moves, pushing the hips back. Beautiful. Knees basically staying relatively vertical here with the shins and pushing the hips back and coming forward with the upper body. So it's a real hinge movement that comes out of here. Now, I like the standing hinge. It's an exercise I want to do a lot of repetitions with. The variation we can do from here would be a kneeling hinge. If you find this hard to understand and hard to learn, start from a kneeling position here. And what you're going to do then is you're going to drive the hands into the hips and allow the upper body to lean forward like a hinge, and then drive up and through. So Zoran's going to demonstrate how you drive the hips back and through. Good. Do another one of those and we'll turn side on after that, because that's a really nice hinge. Good. Let's turn both face either way. Good. Now we're going to be demonstrating driving the hips back, and the upper body is not flexing, it's just hinging through the hip. Good. So if you need to learn how to get that nice standing hip hinge position, this is the kneeling hip hinge. Then what Zoran can do is stand up after he's got that, and we'll redo the standing hip hinge, and let's see how that looks from the side. So we're learning how we're going to create a better movement. Good. You can see the lovely hinge here. So I like to practice this in standing, obviously, because it's more fundamental and functional what we do in daily life. We may have to learn it from a kneeling position if you're not really good at it. But this is what we're going to work at. And then we're going to play with a little bit more variation again with our hip hinge. We're going to do the short stop hip hinge. Hands on the thighs and creating a short stop. Basically pushing the hips back. Imagine you're playing a short stop baseball and drive back up. Some people like to learn this variation. Push the knees out slightly so the glutes are engaged and drive up. You don't need to ever cue them. That's what they just do. Slide the hands down, looking straight ahead, straight arms coming up. Let's do one for the camera, facing it there, Zoran. Good. There's the short stop hip hinge. This is great for learning how to remember how to move. Instead of using your spine first to move, you're learning how to drive your hips backwards. Beautiful hip hinge. This is basically the fundamental movement we use in a lot of lifts, whether it's a deadlift or a squat, we're using this. Well done, Zoran. Thanks for that. Looks really good. That's the hip hinges.